Alright, Earthlings, welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with your boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers, and today we are back again with another episode of Lore vs. Story. We're back in Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 7, so not even the finale, even though there are many episodes of finality in this episode. Quick rundown of what happens, because not much happens in an hour and 10 minutes of screen time, besides checking to see how much time has actually elapsed, because it seems like a lot more time did elapse. I feel like I watched an entire movie and not just 1/3 of one. However, the rings are forged, and Galadriel takes them elsewhere, so Sauron is temporarily thwarted in his pursuit of Dominion rings. Celebrimbor cuts his thumb off and escapes Sauron's spell, but then goes and talks to Sauron again and lets himself, be captured sort of again. No idea where that's going, obviously, because we have one whole episode of this travesty left. The gates of Moria are shut. Durin looks like he is betraying his friend Elrond and the elves sort of again, I guess. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So, now let's talk about the way that all these things happen, because what happens isn't as bad as how it all happens, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The siege of Eregion specifically is the biggest part of this episode. Let's just start with the river and damming the river by using catapults to shatter part of a mountain.
Yes, we imagine that the rocks that they're using to shatter this mountain probably came from the mountain, unless they have extra special rocks that they trucked in through their underground canals.
Which seems unlikely,
yes.
So let's assume that they're taking it from the mountain.
And they use those same smaller stones to bring down a huge amount of mountain. I mean, we're not talking about like an avalanche where a bunch of snow will come down. No, you're bringing down like a third of a mountain to dam up a huge river.
Yeah, so much so that the river actually is completely fully dammed and you have free reign of a quagmire of silt and mud that you can then lay siege to Eregion on somehow.
Like somehow you can get across that and also fight on it. Because remember, we see from these establishing shots that the wall of Eregion is right up against the river.
Yeah, there's no hard land to do anything on.
Yeah, so there's nothing. So all these siege engines that are making their way across are going through this mud and silt and dead animals too. I mean, how many fish are just sitting there rotting and getting all funky and gross? So you got all that to worry about. You're trying to get these heavy ass siege engines, which you built somehow secretly, maybe months ago somehow, who knows? And you got them over here, and it's all good. Whatever. Let's not think too much about the logistics of warfare.
Yeah.
It's fantasy, right? Of course. Magic. And
you lay tracks.
Yeah.
Wooden tracks on the silt for the reaver to cross the crappy river over. Like, all whilst this is happening, arrows are getting thrown from the Elvish side. Not enough of them, because the defenders on the Elvish side are, you never get a sense of how many of them are. There could be anywhere between 100 and let's just call it like 1,000 maybe, but it doesn't seem like there's any more than
One thing that we do know for sure is they're all super disorganized and constantly run around screaming.
Yeah. All the civilians are, running around screaming for no good reason instead of, trying to shelter in the very back of the city. And all the defenders only have bows and arrows, and like 4 of them have swords. That's it.
Meanwhile, the orcs outnumber them 100 to 1, it seems like, have unlimited flaming catapults that do, on one hand, a ton of damage, but they keep doing it forever and ever, and the damage never seems to increase. So it has like a finite amount of damage. Once you reach the damage threshold of a catapult in Middle Earth land, that's it. You can keep throwing them, but no one else gets hurt, nothing else falls down.
Yeah.
Because somehow this entire time, Celebrimbor was able to be in his like weird illusionary dream world. Fine, I get that he was seeing things that Sauron wanted him to see, but feeling things, and also the physicality of the battle happened to his room. Once the veil of illusion is lifted, you actually see the devastation in his forge. How was he doing anything with a busted ass forge? Like, were things, magic style moving away from him when he was walking through his forge, while he was gently outside sipping his hot coffee or whatever the fuck he was drinking?
Yeah, it looked like
soaking
tea.
in the warmth of the sunlight. Like, what? Okay, fine.
No.
Silliness.
Yeah, that's very silly. And then also, elves are particularly powerful. They're not like just ordinary human beings or hobbits who are going to get enthralled easily by an illusion. Now, Celebrimbor should have realized something was wrong instantly. And he's not a lowly peewee elf, who's just basically a chamber pot. scrubber for the rest of his life. No, he is descendant of really high lineage of the Noldorian smiths. He, is basically, he's the greatest smith of the Second Age. You're not talking about someone who is low on the pecking order, so he himself especially should have figured out something is really wrong in this scenario that I am now stuck in, and he should have it, and his strength of mind should be way greater. He would not have fallen into the ploy the way Sauron did it. He wouldn't have, as soon as he found out who Sauron was, he wouldn't be like, all right, well, you know what, I'm just going to continue making these rings because that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he's chained up or not. He could probably be like, dude, I'm like thousands of years old.
Yeah. And
it doesn't really concern me that much. Like, your threats mean nothing right now.
Yeah. You could physically torture him, definitely, but, you couldn't intimidate him into doing it, and he's smart enough to know that everything that's going to happen is going to, somehow go wrong. There's a reason why when Sauron first puts on the One Ring, speaks the, what, 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, that poem, Celebrimbor hears this when he does it, and he then suddenly realizes what is happening. So do all the wise, but it's Celebrimbor specifically, where he's like, oh shit, I finally realize I have been deceived. I now know what exactly happened. We are screwed. It is like a huge come to Jesus moment.
It's a 300-year problem that comes to a head there.
Yeah.
It's centuries of creating these rings under the influence of Sauron's nudging
under his tutelage,
and his silver tongue and all that. From what I understand, they got the motivations of Sauron fairly consistently correct. That he has his own version of perfection.
Like the order. One line, that one line is probably the truest thing that Rings of Power says when Sauron is talking to Celebrimbor, and he says specifically in referring to Morgoth, where Morgoth wanted to destroy, I wanted to perfect. That is actually the one thing they got 100% right. Yeah, Morgoth is an agent of destruction. Sauron, because of his beginnings under Aule, wanted to perfect the world in his own image. He was going to create the perfect masterpiece that would last forever. So that was one thing that they actually got right about what he wanted to do, but everything else about how he does it and his constant screwing around and then revealing himself to Celebrimbor and everything else just never happens in any of those orders.
Yeah, and this is a frustrating trend with Sauron specifically, or Annatar, or whatever you're gonna call him right now. He's always rushed, and his evilness is sort of too in your face and too obvious, and the elves are too dumb, and they're taken over by him or taken in by his silver tongue way too quickly. And you can't even use the excuse, oh, it's a TV show, they have to speedrun, what happens. They can't possibly include all the details. Well, no, that all falls apart when you realize that there are 5 seasons of this.
Pre-approved.
And you've already fucked with the lore so much that you're literally taking things that are thousands of years apart from one another and having them happen at the same time. Pharazôn being alive right now while the fall of Eregion is taking place isn't possible.
No. Thousands of years of difference here. Around, 1,600 years or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just ludicrous.
And then the evil speed running down in Moria, too.
Yeah.
So we have King Durin, who, as far as we are given to understand in the beginning, is a pretty normal dwarf. He's not obsessed by greed and lust. He's been very conservative about delving deeper. Mm-hmm. He's concerned with, not going too far too fast. He's concerned with not having elvish influence in his dwarven kingdom. All very, conservative, boring, kind of predictable, kingly things to worry about.
Yeah.
And then within this very short time, it's not like decades have passed with him with this one ring, which, by the way...
It might be, actually. We don't really know.
Well, we don't really know, but we can assume, I think, by everything is happening way too fast.
It feels like less than a year since he's gotten the ring.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like only, days or months have passed, It's there's no good way of knowing, because we're not tied to, seasons and stuff like that. We had some kind of a crisis with the elves that... At the end of this season, we're going to all die, which was averted. But now we have some indeterminate amount of time. We have 9 rings forged later.
Yeah. And not actually just that. The 7 were also forged in this season and made their way over to Khazad-dûm, and one of them found them on their hand, is now on Durin's finger. So 16 rings have been forged this season. And
then somehow this influence is such that King Durin, has already fallen completely under this greed spell. He even has a hoard in his room building up around him with gold and jewels. And then he takes his axe and he starts just run and train through
his own men, because they're trying to stop him from going.
But then none of them can stop him, like one against the entire army, and then Disa says that they have to recall the army to stop the king. Like, really, does the ring make him that powerful that he's able to just run train across his own dudes like that? And also, is a ring so powerful that it's gotten him to the point where he is so twisted that it's acceptable for him to turn on his own people in this violent way?
Yeah, I mean, the rings will enhance the natural status of the bearer. So, I mean, if you're strong, you will get stronger. If you're fast, you will get faster. If you're smart, you will get smarter. So
if you're a hobbit, you'll become more transparent.
Yes. So it will definitely increase the strength of Durin, but I don't know about to necessarily this amount and needing like a whole army to stop him. And then also, only one of the dwarven rings was given out. So like, you've already showcased why you shouldn't use the other 6 dwarvish rings, but we know that the other 6 dwarvish rings are given out to other dwarves. So why would the dwarves in this scenario then give out more rings of power that they've already seen end so badly?
Are they all going to be convinced that this won't happen to them, that their constitutions are such that they can resist this greed?
Hard to say. Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about it. So much of this episode felt like it was supposed to be a finale. In fact, the middle of the episode felt like you could have ended it right there. There are a couple points where you've got this sort of almost voiceover. The din of the battle goes down, and you have one of the main characters giving some kind of a speech, talking about how darkness will always have to succumb to light. Strength alone can't defeat the darkness. It was like echoing the moment at the end of the Two Towers film, not book, where Sam and Frodo are speaking, and Frodo is asking, Nisgiliath, what are we holding on to, Sam? And Sam delivers his speech that there's something good in this world and it's worth fighting for.
Yep.
So they had this echoing moment. It was the din of the battle had gone down. You had swelling music. Right there would have been a perfect scene on which to end a season, because it's not supposed to be a wrap up the whole show kind of thing. Don't try to have a beginning, middle, and end of a season like this. And it hit all those notes. It might actually have worked as a finale scene.
Yeah.
But instead, what do we get? Let's keep this battle going in dumb ways. Oh, I know what we need. Let's have a more CGI troll come through, because we haven't spent enough of Wheel of Time's money during this season yet.
Oh yeah, that troll. Oh my, it is massive. It is super overpowered.
What is it's just diabolical dying laugh at the end, like it's beating them with some joke or something. Like, what?
Yeah, and its death is so anticlimactic. I mean, it's not like in Lord of the Rings where the troll is just going after Legolas shoots it in the mouth multiple times to get into the skull.
It's almost more comical the way it dies in Lord of the Rings a little bit. Like, it's kind of a dumb cave troll that you get the impression that it's sort of there against its will.
Yeah.
Now, this cave troll, or whatever hill troll this thing is
hill troll,
like 3 times the size, is somehow smarter and more powerful, but is equally discriminant or indiscriminate with who or what it kills. It like grabs random orcs off the field and bites their heads off, which is interesting.
Yeah, and throws the rest away like and a head is a meal.
I really don't know what the point of releasing it was. Like, what is it gonna do? Is it just gonna wail on the stonework of the wall?
Yeah.
Like a troll could break a fucking fortified wall? None of their siege engines are capable, to be clear, of that wall.
No. They only have one.
Yeah. The trebuchets are not going to do it. Like, a cannon would take a year to get through that wall, because walls physics tells us that a wall like that has to be wider at its base than at its top. And now we know the top is just a wide parapet. Mm-hmm. It's wide enough for people, probably 2 or 3 deep, to stand up there. So we're talking meters thick at the top, which means dozens of meters probably thick at its foundation.
Yeah.
You are not getting through that with a troll bounding on it, with a couple orcs pounding stakes into it. You need underminers and explosives to get through that. Like, there's a reason castles still exist today. It's because they're really, really strong and powerful and sturdy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that an elven city is going to be less so. They've had millennia fighting against Morgoth before this, so it's not like they just rediscovered how to fight or how to fortify or whatever.
No, yeah. Eregion is founded in the Second Age by Celebrimbor, so I mean, like,
And even though he seems like a fucking amateur in this show, I know he's not.
He is not an amateur in reality. He is one of, like, the I mean, he's one of like the cool elves of the Second Age, has a really cool storyline, has a really cool history, is super powerful, has a great legacy. I mean, well, depending on how you want to look at it, great legacy. But like, yeah, like, just no part of it is just, it's just wrong. I mean, all of it is just wrong. This episode was a highlight of everything that felt weird in lore, extremely off in reality, and whilst you're just watching it, you're just waiting for the end because it feels like 4 hours worth of content in an hour and 7-minute episode.
It does drag on. It really does feel like it.
And then like the fucking charge of the elves, and they instantly stop right before the orcs. When they unveil Galadriel, yeah, horses do not stop that quickly. I mean, horses can stop quickly,
and not on a muddy field either.
But not that, yeah, not in a muddy field. None of them run into each other. I mean, like, you just completely lose your momentum when you stop a cavalry charge. I mean, the way they were doing the cavalry charge too is kind of asinine. You don't want to necessarily have a wedge and go straight into a horde of orcs. It's kind of like what Rohan did in in the Two Towers. It doesn't really. You want to flank them, and you want to constantly hit them on their sides and in their front and peel back, and like,
a cavalry charge can definitely break an infantry line.
Yeah.
And specifically these orcs, well, I guess this goes back to the whole problem with the motivation of the bad guys in this show.
Yeah.
The orcs don't make sense orcishly.
No.
Adar as a leader doesn't make sense. And then, just to boil it down, the tactics they use to defend against that charge, none of them have pikes out. Those horses would have absolutely run train straight through that line. Because the orcs are cowards, they would have fled. They would have broken before that charge. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the cavalry would have just picked them off, harrying forces, lots of archery still. It would have been a rout.
Yeah.
If they had set themselves up that way. But because the orcs here are motivated through reasons, societal pressures, like they want to be free and happy and chill, and they want to be loved and have families, and it's very, very weird. They're not men, they're orcs, they're beasts, they're kind of the bad guys.
Yeah.
They're just they're evil minions. They're not even bad guys. They don't raise to the level of bad guys. They're like they're the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
They're dumb.
Yeah, they're meant to. Yeah. They're cannon fodder.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. So them like, oh, I thought you loved us, Adar, and now you're sending us to our deaths. And then let's have a funeral and say words and burn our dead in reverence.
Yeah, it felt really weird.
What on earth? And then the dwarves, man, such a waste in this show. You could cut the dwarves out of this entire season, this show, and nothing would actually change as far as I can tell. Replace Mithril with any other thing, or just don't even talk about it. Like, yeah, we're using, alloys to create magic rings. It's magic. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's more magic than it is material.
Yeah.
So who cares what it's made out of?
Yeah. Or you could, if you wanted to keep the mithril, you could be like, well, we'll just establish a weird trade route to Numenor, because Numenor is also the other place in Middle-earth that has mithril.
Or we'll just say we are trading with the dwarves, because that's what we do anyway, and the dwarves don't have anything to do with this story, aside from they have some rings, so let's make sure we include them in this story. And ironically, they are some of the most compelling, actors.
Yeah.
In the story, unfortunately. Like Durin and
Gisela?
Elrond, their relationship early on in the show is a lot more interesting than anything else that happens. So it's unfortunate that they're completely useless. You cut them out and nothing in the story actually fundamentally changes, because the dwarves don't come and save the day.
Nope.
So that doesn't matter. The dwarves were always reticent to give any mithril. The only thing that actually mattered for the dwarves is the mithril. Now everything else is happening in Moria as secondary. It's just another tie-in. Oh, it's Moria. We've been to Moria in Lord of the Rings. Ooh, there's a Balrog down there. Ooh, let's raise some stakes.
Yep.
We'll hope that someone cares. So yeah, we can cut them out, and we can absolutely... This is another episode that shows very, very clearly you don't need Gandalf and the Harfoots and Stores or whatever they are in this story at all either. You could cut them out, and literally nothing would change either. It just must be a consequence of how do we fill 5 seasons with material we don't really have and come from different parts of Legendarian.
Yep. Yeah. No.
Everybody loves Gandalf. Let's throw Gandalf in there. Everyone loves the Hobbits because they're integral characters in all of these stories we already know. Let's throw them in there. Everybody loves an elf running around and killing trolls. Let's have Arondir do some shit too. It's just. It's too much. What did people like about other things that have been made beforehand? Let's get that in here, and let's beat this dead horse for all the juice that we can extract out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's actually a good title. Beat the dead horse and extract all the juice we can get out of it.
This grape is dry. There's only wrath left. Steinbeck.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up this episode and the whole vibe of the show. Rushed, weird, off-feeling, and should not have been made.
And with that, we will be back for the finale of season 2 soon. Try not to let this get you down too much, guys, because there's always the actual stories written by competent people. We don't have to be constrained by whatever bastardization comes out through Amazon's shit pipe.
Yep, absolutely. So if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe down below. Tell us what we got right. Tell us what you think about this show, and we will see you when the orcs decimate something else wrongly.